Hello universe, my name is Sleepy and on this channel I talk about mycology. In this video I will be going over a simple agar recipe that is great for germinating spores of a wide variety of mushrooms. Additionally, I will show you how I make multi-spore syringe for inoculating agar plates. In order for spores to germinate, they need the right environment. There are 5 parameters that need to be controlled and understood to successfully germinate the spores: moisture, nutrients, oxygen, temperature, and a medium for growth. In this recipe, I used a russet potato for nutrients like minerals and starches. You could use a sweet potato or even a red potato. It's all preference. To provide simple sugars like fructose and glucose, I use store-bought honey. The agar helps solidify these nutrients, creating a moist and aerated environment for spore germination. The final step in this recipe is a 25-minute cycle under 15 psi. I use a pressure cooker to ensure a sterile environment for the spores to germinate. I don't make agar often, and when I do, I don't need much of it. Essentially, I make mashed potatoes and use some of the remaining broth in the agar recipe. I start by washing, peeling, and dicing a potato, and then adding that to a pot of boiling distilled water. The ratios between potato and water can vary, and when I make agar this way, I just eyeball that. There needs to be enough water to boil the potatoes for 25 to 30 minutes. After boiling, I strain out the potato solids and measure out 75 milliliters of the potato infusion. Then I add between 1.5 to 2 grams of honey and 2.25 to 3 grams of agar powder and stir until dissolved. After it's dissolved, I top it off with more distilled water to bring the mixture up to about 150 milliliters. Now the mixture is ready to get poured. For agar plates, I like to use these plastic round containers. They have a screw top lid and don't melt in the pressure cooker. Using these allows me to pre-pour the agar before the sterilization process, instead of pouring after, which would be a little challenging, especially without a flow hood. I use a syringe with the needle removed and add about 6 cc of potato agar in each plate. Once all the plates are filled, I screw on all the tops and leave them a tiny bit unscrewed to allow some pressure to escape during sterilization. Now the plates are ready for the pressure cooker. I also added a small jar with some distilled water, with the cap a little unscrewed and a piece of tin foil covering the lid, which I'm realizing now that I probably don't need that tin foil because the top on the jar is plastic, and the tin foil's only purpose is to keep moisture out of jars that have modified lids. Nevertheless, I loaded the pressure cooker, vented it for about 15 minutes, and then added the weight and brought it up to 15 psi for 25 minutes. I do want to mention this video is for educational purposes only. I am not teaching you how to use a pressure cooker. Always follow manufacturer's instructions. Pressure cookers can be extremely dangerous if used incorrectly. I am not responsible for any injury, damage, or misuse. About 48 hours later, I was ready to make a multi-spore syringe and inoculate some plates, as well as take tissue transfers from 2 old plates I had sitting around. Before starting any sterile work, I secure my environment of any draft. Since I'm working with a still air box, I need as minimal airflow around me as possible. I also wipe down the table and plastic tote with disinfecting wipes and stage everything that I'm going to use and need to finish. I use 70% isopropyl to spray everything in the container to reduce surface contamination risk, and stage the spore print, jar of distilled water, sterile syringe, and an inoculation loop. Any instrument that can be sterilized by a flame is suitable. It's just being used to scrape off spores into the distilled water. When I use a flame to sterilize whatever tool I'm using, I always use extreme caution since the isopropyl is flammable. I always pull my hands away from the still air box before igniting the flame and sterilizing my tool. After flame sterilization, I open the jar and sterile syringe and start scraping spores off of the tinfoil into the water. Then I use the syringe to pull up some water and shoot it back in the jar to get the spores to disperse, and then fill the syringe with the spore mixture. I ended up doing more than one syringe and could have done more. Next, I moved on to the application of these multi-spore syringes. There are multiple ways to use these, but in this video, I'm going to show you my preferred method. With 2 clean agar plates and the needle removed from the syringe, I squeeze the center of the syringe and apply 1 drop of multi-spore inoculant to each agar plate. Then close the plates up and set them to the side to get labeled. Next, I have 2 plates that are overgrown and are ready to be transferred to new plates. I spray the inside of the plastic tote with my 70% isopropyl and stage my agar plates. I flame sterilize my scalpel and then proceed to cut out a square from the edge of the culture and transfer that to a clean plate. I repeat the process of flame sterilizing my scalpel in between transfers and take another cut from the second plate and transfer it to a new plate. Once I'm done, I like to label everything. If you are working with many plates, it might be better to label as you. I plan on moving to a light malt extract recipe for agar, and I will be making a video on that in the future. If you have any questions or you feel like I have left something out, let me know in the comment section. And if you found value in this video, leave a like and subscribe.